Hi, today we're talking about this book, Raising Trans Kids by Rebecca Minor. And listen, I read a lot of books since my son Leo came out as being transgender 10 years ago. And I'm here to tell you that if I could only have one book on my bookshelf, this would be the book that I would choose. Rebecca took 20 of the most common questions that she sees as a gender therapist, and she answered them in 20 chapters in this book. And they are the questions that I had when Leo came out as transgender. And not only that, they're questions that I didn't even know to ask at the time. Each chapter has the question as the topic of that chapter, and then it answers it thoughtfully and compassionately and science supported. And so as you read the chapter, you're like, okay, this is exactly what it was that I was wondering, and here's the answer. And then at the end of the chapter, there are key takeaways for you to refer back to when you're like, what was it that she said about this thing? You don't have to go back and read the whole chapter. You can just refer to the back and get those key takeaways. In addition to that, each chapter has 5 reflection questions for you to think about that help you to work through places where you might be stuck with, emotions that you could be grappling with, and help you to be able to move forward, right? Because that's what we always want to be doing, is to be moving forward so that we can keep supporting our children in the best way that we are able to do. There are great resources in this book. There is a whole glossary of terms in the back. I mean, do you see how long, big this is? This is the glossary of terms, and then all the information that supports what she wrote about in the back, so that if you want to look it up, you too can have that information. There is a thing back here, a resource that is 5 practical steps for taking advocacy, because what you want to do as a parent is be able to advocate for your child. And then also, as you grow and move forward, to be able to advocate for the greater transgender community at large. And as we've talked about, advocacy is an action word. So she gives you 5 steps in order to be a good advocate, which is fantastic. There is a chart in here. Let me see if I can find it right here. That is 2 pages long, and it's gender affirming interventions for your child listed by age. And it's, for transition, for social, medical, what is appropriate for my child at the age that they're at. And then here's, for example, haircuts. It gives a description of what that looks like. I mean, we all know what a haircut is. And then it's appropriate for any age, but haircuts and hairstyling is part of a social transition for somebody who is transgender. And so it's listed in that chart. So you may not be thinking about how a hairstyle is part of a transgender person's transition, but it is, because it's part of their gender presentation. And so she lays that all out here for you to have a look at and to think about, which, if you've just learned your child is transgender, maybe something that you have never even considered. And then if you have a neurodiverse child, she also gives you questions to ask when choosing a healthcare provider for your neurodiverse gender expansive child, because you may have things that you need to consider differently than somebody who has a neurotypical gender expressive child. You may be looking for a different kind of doctor or a different kind of medical provider. And so there is 2.5 pages of questions to ask of your medical provider. It is such a well thought out, informative, compassionate, helpful book. I nodded along as I was reading it, thinking, this is so helpful. And it's exactly what I wished I had 10 years ago when my son came out. And I am so glad for every parent whose child is going to learn, or for every parent who's going to learn that their child is transgender, that they're going to have this book to help them so that they don't find themselves in the place that I was, wondering, what do I do now? Like, I don't even understand how to move forward. This book is the resource that's going to help those parents support their child in the best way that they can. So if you're just learning that your child is transgender and you're like, I don't know what to do next, buy this book, get this book, borrow it from your library if you have to. It's fantastic, and it will help you to best support your child and give you the answers that you need to all the questions that you're going to have. So I have a review of it up on my website, which, I mean, you can read it, but essentially it's going to tell you what a great book it is and that I think that you should go buy it. So I'll put the link to the review. I always put a link to sign up for my email list in the description, and we will talk again soon.